for staying with us here with us in the studio. To dive into this critical discourse is Dr. Adagogo C. Brown, a reader, associate professor of English and Literary Studies, River State University, and Amao Pusenibo of Opobo Kingdom. We are glad to have you join us today.
Thank you.
Let's go right into the reports. Man arrested for defiling 3-year-old girl in Ogun State. Muniru Haruna, a 25-year-old man, has been arrested by the Odede Police Division in Ogun State for allegedly defiling a 3-year-old girl. The incident reportedly occurred on Saturday, and the arrest followed a report by the victim's 20-year-old mother, Alaba Abdullahi. Police spokesperson Omolola Oduntola confirmed the arrest on Sunday. According to Oduntola, Alaba Abdullahi heard her daughter crying and discovered her emerging from Haruna's room in distress. The child displayed difficulty walking and signs of physical trauma. On March 1st, 2025, at about 11 a.m., the local police station at Orile Ilegun received a distress call from 20-year-old Alaba Abdullahi regarding her 3-year-old daughter, Oduntola stated. Alaba reported that Muniru Haruna, a 25-year-old man residing in the same area, allegedly committed the act while the victim was playing nearby. The victim was taken to General Hospital Odede for medical examination and treatment, and the police are awaiting the doctor's results. Although Haruna has denied the allegations, the case has now been referred to the Division Crime Branch for investigation and will be transferred to the State CID Elewera upon completion of preliminary inquiry. The police spokesperson reiterated the command's commitment to ensuring the safety and well-being of the public, particularly children. What are your thoughts on this report, sir?
First, this is a crime. We are recognized by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Pedophilia, you know what that means? That is when a child is molested, is abused.
Right.
And I'm not a lawyer, but I know that the Constitution of the Federal Republic recognizes the fact that anyone, an adult who commits that offense, is liable to imprisonment, life imprisonment.
Right. Now, given the level of psychological trauma, before we even go into how, prevalent this has become, given the level of the psychological trauma that a child, a 3-year-old would experience in such circumstances, a 3-year-old child is going to see a python and probably think it's a plaything and pick it up, right? And might see a bee and hug it as a lovely teddy bear, not knowing that those are dangerous, dangerous things to play around. Do you think life imprisonment is okay for the amount of trauma a child of 3 years old has to go through all through their life because of a single action?
Well, that's what the Constitution says. But again, I'm also aware the Sharia and some other institutions have called, human rights have called for a lot of punishment.
Right.
Some amputation, all forms of punishment for this kind of. I know actually, if you hear the stories of those who had undergone this kind of experience, they live with it for a very long time.
Right.
Yeah, they don't easily. In fact, it affects their entire life. Sometimes it puts them in a frame where they develop some kind of psychological problem.
Right.
It's either, when they see a man, they begin to hate the man. It doesn't matter whether the brother or anybody, on account of past experience of violation.
Right.
So that's the kind of torture. That's the evidence of torture that a child goes through each time that child lives and remembers that experience. It's a very sordid thing too.
Now, this has become on the rise currently. When you go through, news reports, you're listening to the radio and several news outlets, and even within our environment, you find out that lots of people, in a world where there are adults that can give consent.
Yes.
The fact that children don't have the right to give consent. They cannot give consent for anything. Now, you pick up a 3-year-old, and that is the thought of the mind of the perpetrator is, this is the person I want to use for, whatever sexual gain or for all whatnot. Now, even if these people are put in life imprisonment, given the way the justice system in Nigeria grinds slowly, do you think, how do you think, what systemic changes do you think can happen that can act as a deter for people wanting to do this? Because it's so prevalent these days. I handled a report a few months ago as regards a boy that was 13 that actually, raped a 3-year-old child anally. That is where we are headed as a society. Now, I wonder what a 13-year-old is thinking about sexual pleasures to the tune of carrying it out with a 3-year-old. What policies do you think could be put in place to act as a deter for such actions?
But it's not issue of policies. I think it has to do with law. Just as you said, our institutions are not functioning anymore. We don't even trust the police. You don't even trust the justice system. All your institutions are not working. And it depends on the status of who is involved or who are behind the person that is involved. So they make calls and then give all manner of explanations. And by the time the matter is dead. But honestly, to human rights activists have all been women rights and so on, have all been saying, yes, this is not a good thing. And any perpetrator should be given severe punishment. Yes, and the law, I want to think about what the law says. The law says that if a minor, well, you are not an adult until about 18 constitutionally. So even if you're under 18 and you give your consent, it's still questionable. Okay, you can still be punished. All right. But what do we see? Some religions, tolerate people. In fact, in some traditional societies, it's been there. You can see a child of maybe 18, even at the time a child is giving birth to. There are families that are interested. I say, this one we will marry this person. And then they do some traditional rites. Maybe put a coin or something, and the child becomes betrothed, as it were. And then by the time the child grows, 9, this gradual courtship begins. And you don't know how it starts. Okay? And you don't know, it's difficult to show the demarcation between when abuse starts and there. So that's the problem we have. So it appears traditional institutions, both religion and traditional, appeared to give tacit support to this kind of development, even though the intention is not for abuse, it's not for molestation. But what would you do? A parent of a less privileged, child, and then one big man comes and says, "Oh, I like this, you're a 12-year-old, and they're able to do the traditional arrangements." And they start with, "Okay, go and visit him, go on holidays to his house and so on." By the time you know it, all of these things, but that appears to have consent. But is it right? The Constitution does not recognize that. It says once the child, whether with consent, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm sure the lawyers will be able to speak on that. But
now you rightly talked about rights and laws. We have all of these laws. We have the Child Rights Act.
Yes.
We had the Violence Against People's Prohibition Act. We have Ministry of Women Affairs. We have all of this ministry, human rights and all of those. Now, all of this put together under an umbrella. Do you think our voices are amplified enough to see sustainable change?
I don't think they're amplified. You see, the thing is, if you look at the society, people are scared. People are afraid to even speak on issues that are of use and good to society. They don't want to be trailed. You don't want to, accosted somewhere and beaten. You don't want to be molested. And so you keep quiet. But otherwise, I don't think they've done enough. They should be able. It's not just one man be coming on air or using TikTok and so on and all of that. There should be a formal there should be formal media for discussing this issue. All right, bring together all concerned all of those who are concerned, whether parents, those in the education, and all sectors, bring them together and say, let's discuss this issue, get it covered locally and internationally.
Like a town hall.
Exactly, so that people know that this is a problem, and we're not taking it lightly, that we want everybody to air their views on this. That is when it begins to resonate, it begins to, catch on people that, yeah, this is a very serious social problem. But again, you try to say that it's not new, it's been there. Yes, since I've been there. Well, it's been there. If you go to the Bible, and then look at all the other not even in Nigeria, just go also outside, beyond the shores of Nigeria. These things are happening, but again, they are either tolerated by society, traditions, or institutions that should be in places to protect and then correct these things. They are not doing enough, because those who are involved, or relations of those who are involved, yes, have strong backing by those who are influential. And so if you do anything, somebody will just call the other and say, see, this is my boy, please, I don't want this thing go on again. So and it just dies like that.
Now, I wanted to talk about the fact that, for one, there are certain communities, certain countries, civilized countries, that have looked at this case of rape, countries like India, and you get the capital punishment. And last year, the Minister of Women Affairs has been vying for the capital punishment for rape, especially against minors, as it happens in this story. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a way forward to act as a detail?
Yes, it's a way forward. I don't think that is sane. I mean, for goodness sake, it's molestation. It's an abuse. I don't think anywhere in the world that abuse should be tolerated. No, it's a violation of the right of the child, both physically and emotionally. And the society shouldn't allow it to continue. It should be stopped by putting in place laws that should check them, serve as deterrent to others who might even want to contemplate committing such crimes. It's a heinous crime.
Thank you so much for your insight on that report. Bauchi State death toll climbs to 7. Death toll from a stampede during an almsgiving event in Bauchi State has risen to 7, police confirmed on Monday. The tragic incident occurred at Safa Holdings Company PLC on Jos Road during the annual Zakat exercise. Initially, 4 deaths were reported. However, police have confirmed that 3 more women have died of injuries during the chaos. The stampede occurred around 10:20 a.m. as people rushed to receive alms. 2 of the additional victims died at Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital at home. Multiple others, including women and children, were injured. This tragic incident follows other recent stampedes in Nigeria, highlighting the dangers of large gatherings without adequate safety measures. In December 2024, a devastating stampede at the Children's Funfair in Ibadan, Oyo State, resulted in the deaths of numerous children. That incident brought increased scrutiny to the organization of large public events. Also, during the December period, there were also reports of a stampede in Abuja during a festive period. These events have increased calls for better crowd control measures across the nation. The Ibadan incident also brought about the arrest and investigation of Olori Naomi Silekunla of the event and one of the event organizers and others, leading to ongoing legal proceedings. Police spokesperson SP Ahmed Wakil stated that investigations are ongoing and further details would be provided. We've had this case of stampede in December. It happened like in 3 different places. Let's talk about hardship in Nigeria. What are your thoughts about this report?
I think that what else I'm going to blame it on? But even though I still have a slightly different opinion, but you see,
I would really like to know your opinion. So maybe let's talk about the report in full then.
Yes, a situation where there is poverty. Everybody knows. Everybody knows, and so if you say you're going to share a bag of rice, everybody hopes that, oh, I should benefit from it. So let me make utmost effort I can to partake in it. And so, not minding whether there would have been several others coming for the same thing. Poverty, to said. That's what. Otherwise, if I have Why should I go bother about rice being shared in a public place where you are not even sure how the crowd is going to be managed? That's the problem we have. Poverty. But I think, again, that if you look at it, crowd management, did we do enough?
Now, before we get to crowd management, now most of this alms giving, charity organizations and helping, especially during festive period. Right now we are in Ramadan fast, and it's currently Lent, and most people want to give out something. It's always been a thing to help the needy out, or people that are not having so much. It's always been like that over time. But in recent times you find out that the stampedes are getting increasingly high. Do you think that the hardship has gotten way more than it was before? For the case of Naomi, the Olori Naomi, she has been having that event for many years. Okay. And the outcome of this one, that she's going through all this legal proceedings about, it's meant to be similar like other events she has had. But see how the stampedes done, and women and children and many people died. What do you think has stemmed us now in this direction where there are lots of stampedes when alms are being given? Yes,
you just said that she's been doing this over the years. But you find out that over the years, as each year passes and another, things are becoming very difficult. It may not have been as difficult as it was. Okay? But this happened last year, isn't it? Yeah. Perhaps was most difficult than all the others that have been experienced in the past. But again, if we ask, were there things that she did the previous years in managing the crowd that she didn't do this time? It's possible.
Is there a possibility that the crowd was higher this time than it has been the other time?
It's also possible, because hardship it's becoming very excruciating, that people, those who by the previous year could afford to buy themselves a cup of rice. Look at the price difference. We would not have bothered to be there. But because now rice has multiplied, I think 5 or 6 times. And so those who were able to buy the previous year and wouldn't have need to be there cannot afford. And so they have to now look at where they can get it free. And that's what has brought them to where they met their death.
Sadly, I want us to talk about what you were on a few minutes ago about crowd control.
Yes, crowd control. You see, it's. I thought that sometimes I want to think that sometimes Nigerians, it appears, if they don't make situations difficult for people, and they don't feel happy. The owner of the program has good intentions. How about the organizers? What would have brought about this? How about those who? It's possible that, I mean, for goodness sake, there should have been other ways of handling this matter. If you decide to say, okay, do it word by word, if it's meant for a state, yes, or for a local government, you said, okay, how many words are in this local government? Send these things down to their local government, I mean, to their wards, so that these things can be distributed to them. I don't think we would have this number of people brought to one center.
Now,
another thing that possibly would also have happened, if you decide to bring them to that center and it's spacious enough, how many points did you introduce? Looking at the gates to say, okay, if you come from this point, this is the nearest to the point where you pick. If you come, so it's not until you bring everybody and put the whole thing at a center where everybody would need to, jump on one another to have their share of the gift. That could, so for me, generally, I don't know. I think that management possibly could be the problem.
Now let's talk about the fact that the people that attend, or that certain people that have died in this stampede, this recent stampede in Bauchi, are mostly adult people.
Yes.
Why is it difficult for adults to coordinate themselves? Now, someone gets to somewhere where they are sharing food. You went there for food. And they say stay on a single line. Do people stay on single lines? People don't stay on single lines.
People don't stay. You attend parties, isn't it? We are responsible people, and then there are food stands. Yeah, I mean, look at it. Somebody just come in. Instead of you taking your cue, be on the line. You see somebody who will shunt and want to get to the front for whatever reason. Is either he's a big man or he's a big woman. You see,
do you think that has anything to do with our value system?
We've become very impatient. I think the thing is that what we are lacking, the attitude, the character that we are lacking is impatience. People are no longer patient. They don't want to be. This was the kind of thing that Diagbo, you know, when he stayed for a very long time. If you come to a public place and you want to shunt, and somebody will tell you, please, take your cue, go to the line. But that doesn't happen anymore. If you go to banks, the same thing everywhere. But then during the Diagbo regime, he brought some sanity. You could go to the bus stop and see people queuing. That's even when Diagbo had left office, Buhari, people still maintained that culture for a very long time. Again, you find out that what is this institution that also helped to popularize that aspect of our culture, the culture of queuing, the culture of taming people's patience. That is the problem.
And we don't have anything like that now.
No. People are no longer patient. Maybe because of the trauma of the economic situation they've been forced to go through. All of that has broken their endurance, their tolerance and their patience level. So nobody, you know, wants to wait. Go to the filling stations. Okay, these things. And again, as I said earlier on, possibly go to a filling station. All the pumps are functioning, but because they want to create an atmosphere of stampede, they decide to sell using only one pump. And so you see people crowding. But if you sell all the pumps, as I said in the case of the rice distribution,
right,
if you establish different points of collection, for goodness sake, and then get some maybe policemen or something to maintain order, people will go take their queue, collect whatever, and then they will leave. But when you congest and then restrict and then make narrow the point of collection, what will they do? You create stampede, you create impatience, you create all manner of things, and then the beast in people will begin to manifest.
Now, if you're in a position to advise organizers of events, what are you going to tell them?
Well, first, what kind of event do you want to organize? What population are you expecting? What measures are you going to put in place to allow the beneficiaries of the programs you are planning to participate?
Now, I wanted to point something out. Now, for the case of the Ibadan stampede,
yes,
she had a number. They had a number that they planned, but they were like 4 times of the number that was planned.
So if they knew they had a number, that's what I said. And you know how it is, the population of Ibadan could be more than what they have. Why not do this thing word by word? So that if it's 3 bags or 4 bags to a ward, each to a ward or unit or however, you would decongest the crowd that would have gathered at that point. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's all planning.
Right.
Yes, but when you call people to a point, what do you expect? Temperament will rise, impatience, and all of these things would develop and then manifest in some animalistic behavior, violence. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but again, there's something I want to say. You see, when I talk about what the Greeks call Moira Ananke, like those people who died were destined to die.
Everybody is destined to die.
Sure.
A day to die for everyone.
Yes. So you find out that it probably wouldn't have been averted. You know, if you look at disasters, some man-made
so
like
even
this one.
even if you know, the planning you described was put in place, even if the crowd was amply controlled, even if it was taken, like you said, to units and wards, those people would have still died.
Well,
way.
It's possible. Because it appears they have been destined. They've been destined to die.
We are all destined to die.
Yeah, we're all destined to die, but nobody knows how and when. And so this, as it were, became an appointment, became an opportunity for an appointment with death.
Sadly.
And I think that my heart goes out to the families of all those who have lost their beloved ones in incident, not just this, in incidents like this. They do happen. And some people, if you ask them to come for even political rallies, even when people go and then they die. happened in Port Harcourt, yeah, Polo Club there. Prayer conferences and so on. These things happen, stampede.
Sad.
Very
Thank
sad.
you.